the day of Arafah, the correct day of Arafah is not the day that I have cited myself, rather it is the day established by the Muslims. Now, in this country, we have been going through this problem for almost 30 years now, or 25 years. And there are many options. All the options that have been said and is still being said or are being still discussed have been discussed in the past. And we have not come to a consensus. We have not come to a conclusion. Just recently, in the last few years, you can say that majority of Muslims, maybe not the vast majority, but majority of the Muslims are happy with the decision taken by Mecca. They just follow Mecca. Not because Mecca, not because of Saudi Arabia, they just follow Mecca. So, for example, at least in London, we realize that in London, at least 80% of the Muslims in London just go for the central mosque, and the central mosque have taken that decision to follow Mecca. Whether Mecca itself, Mecca visibility itself, or moon sighting itself is right or is wrong, now the criteria is the vast majority or the majority of that place we are living in, London or the UK, are following Mecca, then just simply follow that, not because it is Mecca, no, because it is the majority of Muslims.
Irrespective whether it's right or wrong.
Irrespective of whether it is right or wrong. And that's why I said there was a discussion in Vecton channel, maybe 2 years, 3 years ago, and I said clearly to the people, okay, you are not happy with this criteria, you go and establish your own criteria.
Right.
And you are talking about the central mosque and they are following Saudi Arabia blindly, etc. Yes. I will take care of Dr. Ad-Bayan and the central mosque, and I can assure you that once you agree on a criteria, then we will follow you. But so far, we have exhausted all avenues and we have tried all criteria, and none of them is working except this criteria. And I think we need to stop this discussion, because I believe that as a Muslim community, this is the last point, we have so many challenges. This is not the only challenge. And people start laughing about us. And even sometimes we do very strange and very sort of silly things, maybe it's not the proper word to use, that in some masajid, and you know this, and without naming the masajid, that people go and they said, today is Eid, and the masjid decided that no, according to our decision that today is not Eid, we will continue fasting today.
That's right.
And it happened that they start fighting, etc., etc., and they forced the masjid in order to establish Eid on that day. And this is in number of occasions. And in one of occasion, maybe you know the situation where something similar happened regarding Salat al-Taraweeh. So khalas. And yani, what we say, the end of this situation has reached.
Fine.
Okay, so let us move on and look to other challenges.
Sure. Sheikh Hadim, you have tried to explain that the criteria that's been established in terms of the earlier part is very much in line with what Sheikh Suleiman has been saying, that as far as the position, the Islamic position is concerned, is very, very clear. There is not really much of a theological issue of differences of opinion, but the manner in which it has been practiced is different. For example, you made a very clear position that, look, and you give an example about the central mosque. They are following Mecca, the announcement that is being made there, and that a vast majority, according to your understanding, in London and other parts of the country are following Mecca or Saudi Arabia, and therefore on that basis this seems to be fine. Now this is where the real issues, I think we need to have a proper discussion in terms of, if that is the case, and if that is the situation where if everybody could follow Mecca, then of course the life would be much more easier for us. Now we need to know why there is this issue of dissension, why people are not following Mecca when the matter can be so much clear. Now, as we are approaching our first part of the program, in fact, we have heard from our two distinguished scholars. We have yet to hear from Sheikh Yazdani, and of course, our expert as far as the astronomical matter is concerned, from Dr. Osama Hassan. We will now give them the opportunity to perhaps explain to us in light of what they have heard from the two scholars. And then in the second part of the program, we will have the opportunity to hear from the audience and perhaps put across any specific questions they have to our distinguished panelists. So now, as we are approaching our the first part of the program, may I request your patience and understanding that let's wait for a while, and inshallah we'll come to the second part in the next few seconds. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the second part of the program, the special program live going from Islam Channel on the issue of moon sighting. We heard earlier on in the first part from Sheikh Suleiman Ghani and Sheikh Haitham on the whole issue of Sharia in terms of how the whole moon sighting process really is worked in practice, the methodology that's been applied, the opinions that have been given from international scholars as well. And now we would like to hear from our remaining two members of the panel. We've got Sheikh Yazdani, who is from the Islamic and the Center from the Brent Mosque. Sheikh Yazdani, we have heard from both eminent scholars on the whole subject matter. How is it really working in practice? How do we really see the community on the ground looking at the whole issue and making the decision? What is the criteria that we hear of?
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen wa la aqibatu lil muttaqeen wa salatu wa salamu ala sayyidil mursaleen amma ba'd. First and foremost, of course, I thank yourself and Islam Channel for arranging something that I see is utmost important, especially with regards to myself growing up for 30 years in this country. And it was a long desire to see something constructive where scholars could speak on the same level of the general community that understands English. I think the problem we have is with regards to acquiring the knowledge, the basic knowledge of how we go about establishing the sighting of the moon. Although there is a procedure, what we've commonly just shared with one another is some of the basic things that general community and people are unaware of. For instance, what is the difference between lunar and solar calendar? Can we take solar calendar to be a means of a testification for the moon sighting? Can we take intercalating information or not? Our ulamas and likewise the fuqahas and the language that everyone was speaking was on the same level. And that is, for instance, the Muslims and the Jews adopt the lunar calendar system, whilst the Christian system of working out the dates is based on the solar calendar. With regards to whether we can take solar calendar or not, or solar dating system, our ulamas a long time ago, this is going back to Allama Shami ibn Abidin, who in his Raddul Muhtar states that صرح به علمائنا عن عدم الاعتماد على قول أهل النجوم في دخول رمضان لأن ذلك مبني على أن وجوب الصوم معلق برؤية الهلال. What they state is that our ulamas have emphasized and they have stated very, very clear that we do not take the astronomical working out and its calculation to be an exact and a precise calculation of the ru'ya of the hilal. It can be contributory, as is now the discussion, and I'm sure our honorable scholar academics will elaborate on that this information can be taken. But traditionally, what is our point? Many people are unaware of that, so they think we are fighting. In fact, we're not fighting. Our message is the same. Our message is that our system of calculation is according to the lunar. There is muttafaq alayh. Yes. There is an ittafaq. There is no discussion about that. And then not only that, ru'yatul hilal. What is the word ru'ya? How do we understand the word ru'ya? We need a sense of authority. We need our ulama's words to give us a sense of comfort, because we, in this confusing time, everyone is dominating another by their own form of knowledge. But everyone accepts that the ulamas of the past were great and their maqam was very high indeed. They elaborate on the word ru'ya, and this is where the ikhtilaf comes from. whether the word sumu li ru'yatihi should be taken into consideration, or sumu li ilmihi, or shall we fast